Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM. We welcome you all back to our program, as well as tuning in through our online affiliates around the world. We're glad to have all of you with us as well. We're excited to welcome someone who's not only a repeat guest on our program, but someone who I'm glad to call a friend. Earl Hall is back today to talk to us not only about the year that's been 2017 for him and what a year it has been, but all the great things he's been doing, not only for his own brand, but also in helping others. Now, one of the things that Earl is known for is his work in voiceover. This year, he's really gone all in with that. He's not only a voiceover artist himself, he's been an instructor, and he now has a new book that's out called Steps to Voiceover Success. Now, if that sounds familiar, he also is known for that through YouTube. We'll talk to him about how he uses that platform, as well as a brand new venture that's beginning in 2018 called Voiceover Quarterly, his brand new magazine. A lot to cover with Earl today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Earl, hello to you, and welcome back to the program, man.
Hey, Cyrus. Thanks so much for having me back. This is just great for me to be here with you.
Well, look, man, I joke with you a lot, man, on, of course, this platform and just in our regular conversation. So this is going to be a lot of fun to be able to have you on, to be able to share with our audience. Let's talk about the year that has been 2017.
Wow.
And I want to first say, for our audience who might remember Earl, the last time Earl was on with us, he was in his studio in his basement. Now he's joining us today in his studio in his office. I mean, Earl, what has that been like for you to not only see how the hard work is paying off for you, but to seeing the benefits that's come from that hard work?
Well, Cyrus, it is definitely all about the work, and you and I have talked about that a lot over the years that we've known each other, about just doing the work. And I mean, going from, the basement of my home, having a home studio, right there in the basement, transforming now just as of October, and I'm looking around the studio that I'm in right now doing the work that I do, it's amazing. I mean, the day that I moved into this office, it was hectic, and I'm moving boxes and computers and audio gear, microphones, the whole 9 yards. And I turned to close the door on my office, and I stopped because it was the first time I had to actually take a moment. And just, it's like I could not believe that I was here now doing this thing that I had envisioned for so long. And I mean, I was completely, still am completely humbled. I'm in awe of it, and I do not take it for granted. I'm completely grateful every day.
Well, the work has definitely paid off in so many big ways for you, Earl. Another big change that you made in 2017 is when you began this year, you were working a full-time job in addition to building your business. Now you're wrapping up this year just exclusively working for yourself, building your brand and your business. Talk to us about that and what that change has been like for you.
There's no greater joy. Maybe there is, but right now there's no greater joy for me to be able to say that I'm completely self-sufficient. And, everyone needs to know this does not come easy, and it didn't just happen this year. This has been over a decade-long journey for me to get to the point where I'm now. And so many times, even with the students that I coach, on my website, doing live coaching sessions with them, I let them know this just didn't happen when you found me this year. This transformation did not just start, and it's all about putting in some hard work and some hard effort. And I'll tell you what, man, working a full-time job at night and then doing this full-time during the day for 2 years, and I look back on that, and I kind of have to laugh. It's like, man, you must have really wanted this, because that was hard. And during the times that I was in those moments, I really didn't think about it. I always knew that the day would come because of the work that I put in, and I didn't give myself an option. I said, this is going to work, and I worked towards it.
Yeah. Right. Well, someone that we both look up to and talk about, it seems like, on a daily basis, Earl, is Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh,
and, he talks about the importance of the hustle, and instead of people being fancy and going after the stuff. I mean, I think the other thing is you have now gone from, having people like Gary Vaynerchuk that you have admired to now being a source of inspiration for other people. What has that been like for you? You mentioned your students, those that you work with. What does it feel like for you now to know that you have this tribe that you've been able to build, Earl, through YouTube? We're going to talk more about that, and also other platforms that now look up to you as an example of what's possible.
Well, it's amazing because, I'm just Earl. I'm no different from anyone else, and I do all of my consulting on Skype video. That's how I'd like to do my consulting, is face-to-face so that we can see each other. And I tell people every one of us has a BS detector, and I want you to be able to see me so you can, see if I'm BSing you. And I'm looking at you to see if you're BSing me, so that we can make sure that we're on the same page and all together. And what's so funny sometimes, and I still laugh every time it happens, when a new student comes on board and they've been watching me on YouTube for like the past year, the past 3 months, whatever. And like the first reaction is, "Oh my God, it's you." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's you. I see you too."
Right.
So it's kind of funny, but it's also one of those things that does humble me every time it happens. When we get accolades or when someone looks at you kind of with stars in their eyes, it's like, dude, I'm just a regular guy sitting here. We're pretty much on the same page. So it's an enjoyable process, and it's one of the greatest things that I love to do is helping other people succeed. And kind of the thing that I go by is like, my success is dependent on me helping other people succeed because of the work that
Right.
I do. That's one of the main things that stays in my mind. It's got to be that student. It's got to be that client first. You've got to care more about them than you do about yourself, and that's just how I roll.
Yeah. And Earl, I mentioned YouTube, but I want to talk about, you are one of these people, and, we have joked about this between us, that there are some people who don't understand the benefit of social media, the importance of using all aspects of social media to be able to build their business and their brand. There are some that feel like, hey, I'm on this one, why do I have to be on the others? You have, and I've seen you do this. I've seen you go all in on Twitter. I've seen you go all in on Instagram. I've seen you really dive into Facebook. YouTube, though, has really been the place where you've been able to really explode. This year, you were able to grow your YouTube channel exponentially, being able to get over 1,000 subscribers. Talk to us about why that platform do you feel like worked for you, especially because I believe you really are at your heart a teacher. Why do you feel as though that platform has really worked for you?
Well, whether it's YouTube or any other platform, for me, it's all about being authentic. It's just about being you. And it's one of the things that I teach even in doing voiceover. You don't try and sound like or be like anyone else. You just do you. But YouTube gives me that ability, especially since I do a live show Monday through Friday. It gives me that ability to allow people in and to just see me in my element, to see my personality, my persona, my goofiness from time to time, what I find funny and things of that nature. And it gives them the ability to really know who I am. And what's so funny is about on a platform like YouTube, you've got hundreds or thousands of people looking at you on a live stream or watching, one of your videos or something like that. And when they finally do talk to me one-on-one on Skype, it is like they have already developed this relationship with me, but I don't know who they are yet. So now it's my turn and my honor to get to know them and what it is that they're all about. So YouTube and that platform of live streaming that I've really, really become comfortable with doing has been that thing that has given me the most momentum. And so I not only live stream on YouTube, but simultaneously on Facebook as well as Twitter or Periscope.
Right. So there are a lot of great ways that people can stay connected with you. We're going to remind them of that early at the end of the segment. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome back to our program today Earl Hall. Earl is known to many, of course, for his work in voiceover, but also as an example for many people as to what's possible for them. You know him because of the work he's been able to do through Steps to Voiceover Success. One of the ways that Earl is really bringing that message home this year, as we're going into 2018, is through his book called Just That, Steps to Voiceover Success, Start, Build, and Grow a Successful Voice-Over Career. And this is something that you have really been hammering in on YouTube as well as through your other platforms, Earl. I mean, already the book is an Amazon.com bestseller. The hashtag you've kind of coined for yourself through social media, I remember you using this on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, and now, of course, this book is Grind and Don't Quit. Talk to us about the importance of that, the importance of not only grinding, but not giving up along the way.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people, and from the people that I talk to all the time, a lot of people say I'm grinding. And, I look at people on social media, even people that follow me, and they say, I believe in the whole grind and don't quit mentality. But whenever there's a post on YouTube, they're at a restaurant showing off what they're eating, or they're at some sort of, sporting event, or, commenting on a television show that they're watching. And I'm like, that's not grind and don't quit. I don't have time to sit down and watch television. I don't have time to sit down and do all this stuff. And the grind and don't quit mentality, it's a couple of parts to that. Obviously, the grind. You've got to put in the work. And don't quit means you can't stop until you reach that goal. So you've got to grind this thing out until what you said you wanted to accomplish comes to fruition. And if you grind but you quit, you're not going to accomplish that goal. You're not going to reach your mark. But the and don't quit part is probably the most important part, because the and don't quit means you got to grind through the struggle. You got to grind when you're mad. You got to grind when things aren't going well. You got to grind when, it seems like all hell is breaking loose. You still have to grind, and then add on don't quit. Don't let anything stand in your way. And that's why, things have happened in my life, in your life, and a lot of other people's lives a certain way, because you don't stop. You don't stop because it gets hard. When it gets hard, that's when you got to go in harder.
Yeah, that is so true. And so the book, this is something you talked about. I'm going to say this in a joking way, like for 30 minutes. Next thing I know, it was up on Amazon. You are not a person that I know, Earl, that waits around and kind of just talks about doing stuff. You had mentioned the magazine. Next thing you know, there was a cover. Next thing you know, it was you were already preparing people for what's coming. Where does that come from? I know you've talked to me a lot about the power of your relationship with your father and the lessons learned there. Do you think that's part of the reason why you are the man that you are today, because of the example you saw with him?
Oh, my gosh, absolutely. My father didn't see me for 6 months after I was born. He was drafted into the Air Force back in 1969 during Vietnam, and so he was in basic training during the time that I was born. So he didn't get to see his son, his namesake, which I'm named after him. I'm Earl Hall Jr., for 6 months. And, he came home after the military, immediately, went into to get his master's degree, his first master's degree, by the way. And my dad worked full-time at the post office at night and went to school during the day. And I saw this, growing up. I was, honored enough, to be at his graduation for his first master's degree. I think I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old when he got his master's degree. And then even after that, he became a school teacher. He went on to do great things in the financial institutions and banking and things of that nature. Went on to get another master's degree and a doctoral degree. And I see this all my life growing up. And it's just, I believe, a part of my DNA. And I'm not sure how that all works, because I was telling folks on my live stream just yesterday, I'm a procrastinator at heart, but I push through the I don't wanna. It's like, someone was asking me, well, how do you do all this stuff? I was like, I don't want to do it all the time. But even though I don't want to do it, I push through the I don't wanna until I wanna, because I know who I am and I know my personality. And my father was a big influence on all of that.
Well, now as a father yourself, Earl, is also part of that realizing that as you were watching your father, that you have children that are watching you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And they talk about what I do all the time. It's like I can see my daughter, my youngest daughter, she loves the whole YouTube thing. And so she's trying to do her thing on YouTube at 12 years old. Well, Dad, I can't think of what it is that I want to do, but I see what you're doing, and I only have this many followers, and your page is growing. And so my daughter in particular is really, really into that. My son, on the other hand, he just likes playing his video games. He's 10 years old, and he likes getting into his iPhone or whatever and just playing his video games. But he likes to brag now that Dad owns a business. My dad owns a company. He doesn't work for anyone anymore. So it's, it's very influential to them. And I know, based on my own history and watching my own dad, I know that my kids are watching everything that I do.
Yeah, for sure. And not only your kids, of course, now your students, those that you work with. This year has definitely been a pivotal one for you, Earl, for your
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have talked about, you've had several emotional moments. You mentioned one when you were kind of looking back at the office and thinking about
Yeah.
how that all came about. As I said, you have now a best-selling book on Amazon, Steps to Voiceover Success. You're getting ready for the launch of VoiceOver Quarterly, the magazine. What do you hope as people are able to not only to discover you in the work? What do you hope when they pick up a book like Steps to Voiceover Success, they realize about what it's going to take to not just start their career, but to be able to grow it and to make it successful?
The first thing that I want to have happen for people that come in contact with me is to know that you can do it. And that is one of the biggest hurdles that I hear from the students that I coach every single day. I hear it in their voice, the trepidation of not knowing if they can get a good understanding of not so much voiceover, but the building of the business part. Because it's one thing to have a skill or talent, but the building of the business is the main part of it. And so many people that come into my field of view, whether it's, they find me on YouTube or whatever, they look at the building of the business part, and it's almost like some of them have never realized that this is the thing. Because the marketing and the sales of your talent or your skill is 80% of what you've got to do. And it's not so much about learning the equipment and things of that nature. It's more so about developing that brand and understanding and really getting, really, really good understanding of marketing and sales. So the main thing, the first hurdle is, I can do this. I can do this. And not to compare yourself to anyone that's 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 years ahead of you, but knowing that wherever you're starting from right now, if you've got the desire, if you've got the talent, and if you've got the will to grind and don't quit, over the course of the next few years, you can build something amazing. And that's part of my main message.
Right. I think the other side of it is, and you even talk about this in the book, Steps to Voiceover Success, Earl, is that you have done what so many have done, in that you've invested in courses, you've gone through all of these things, and yet you have been able to carve out your own way. I mean, for those who look at the cover of the first issue of VoiceOver Quarterly, they'll see you there, with the tag, the VoiceOver Rebel. What do you think makes you a rebel and a standout, Earl, as to what has been possible for you versus what so many talk about building a successful voiceover business?
Well, one of the main things about this whole thing, Cyrus, is that there is a lot of information online about voiceover and how to build a voiceover business. But all of that information is 5, 10, 20 years old. And it is not applicable to what's going on today in the digital world that we live in. I do live streams, as I said, Monday through Friday on YouTube. And getting people to understand that you have the ability to go out and literally connect with anyone in the world that you want to do business with by simply engaging them in conversation and adding value to their own social media posts that they're putting out there. There is no excuse of a lack of clients or potential clients, because we can reach them all. In my industry in voiceover, LinkedIn, oh my gosh, every video production company, every agent, every explainer video company, e-learning company, whatever genre you want to get in, man, it's right there in front of you. And never mind Google. It's like and these things are the things that aren't being taught on a wide basis in the voiceover industry on how to build your voiceover business. It's a lack of current and relevant information that I wanted to make the difference in. And on top of that, with all of the courses that I've taken, in which all of the courses that other people have taken that are now coming into the knowledge of who I am and what it is that I do, I discovered a missing link, because you can sign up for a course and you get, 12 videos, you get a couple of PDF files or whatever, but you don't have that direct access to the coach. You don't have that direct access, which completely blew my mind. And it's like, when I saw that missing link, I owned it, and I made my company about that direct connection with me. And so my students talk to me Some of them every week. They're on my calendar. Some of them every other week. Some of them once a month. But they have that direct connection with me, so they can get their questions answered and keep it moving. And that's what needs to happen. And that's why I think so many people are gravitating to what we're doing at Steps to Voiceover Success. And they're having success, and they talk about it every day.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, and we're going to let our audience know, Earl, how they can kind of stay connected with all the things that are going on and kind of delve a little bit more into the book before we let our audience go here. I mean, the testimonials you got. I mean, for one thing, you had an amazing webinar this year. It was another one of those emotional moments for you, I know. And as a turning point going into 2018, for sure, part of what you did in promoting that webinar was to have comments from individuals and what they were looking forward to, why they signed up. Talk to us about what that's been like for you because it's one thing for you to tell people what you are doing. What is it like for you to have other people out there telling people what you are doing and how they benefited from it?
Well, that's a blessing that is beyond description, to have other people that have benefited from learning from you go out and tell others what they've learned and also the success that they're having from all of this information. And I'm their biggest cheerleader because I'm the first one to tell them, look, you have some knowledge as well to be able to go out here and share with other folks and to do the same thing. Just because I'm doing it doesn't mean you can't. And if you want to do it, I'm going to support you in doing it. You want to start a YouTube channel talking about voiceover, I'm going to be your biggest fan. You want to have a membership website for voiceover, I'm going to be your biggest fan, and I'm going to push you to do it. Now, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people will say they want to do it, but then when they find out the work that's involved with it, something else happens. But during the whole course of the webinar and leading up to the webinar, I didn't do some sort of big fanfare about the webinar. I just talked about it on my daily show that I do on YouTube and just told people what I was going to do. And doggone it, they responded. And they responded in such a way that, again, it was the thing that drove me to tears. To see the confidence and the trust that these people that really have, they've never seen me before other than on YouTube. They've watched me for months or even up to a year. But for them to have that level of confidence and trust based on what they've already seen and learned from me to take another step and actually dig into their pocket, it meant something to me that was worth more than money, more than words. It's the feeling and the emotion of gratitude and thankfulness that I have behind all of that completely humbles me. But then I had to realize, well, Earl, now you got a lot more work to do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things that you address in the book, Steps to Voiceover Success, and it's something that we have talked about on this program for the past few years after I had a guest to come on and kind of really dwell down on this, and that is about the why, Earl. You talk about as part of your story of what has happened to you, how you got to where you are, what you realized about was your passion, which is voiceover. How has identifying your why kind of helped to put everything else in motion? And why is it so important for you to share with people about realizing what their why is and making sure what they're doing is in line with achieving that why?
Well, what's so funny is you were the person that helped me identify my why. And, we went through this process for about, 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday,
right.
Over Skype, going through this. But the thing about the why, and most people misunderstand or they don't understand what their why is. Most people think of a why and they think of, some sort of statement that's on their website or some sort of elevator pitch that they just tell people or something like that. And your why really has nothing to do with your passion about what it is that you want to do. Your why is developed from a group of stories that you're able to communicate to someone like yourself that I did this with, and that person being able to go through and see a common thread in these good stories, bad stories, stories that make you cry. Even when you and I did the why, I was tearing up, talking about some of the things that I had to talk about and share. And what you discover through going through this process, which is by Simon Sinek, by the way, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek because he invented this whole thing about your why, is that through those stories, you find this common link. And what that shows you is why you are the way that you are. It has nothing to do with what you want to be. It has everything to do with why you are the way that you are, why you do business the way that you do it, why you answer questions the way that you do it, some of your motivation behind these things. It doesn't matter what you want to do. Your why gives you the instruction on knowing how you're going to do whatever it is that you want to do, and it becomes the cornerstone of everything. My why is boiled down into the whole grind and don't quit mentality, and our actions speaking louder than our words. That is really the substance of my why that anyone can see on my website. It is our actions are here. We are to take the actions that are to help other people reach their goals. That's my why. Through all of the stories that I related, so it has nothing to do with what you want to be. It completely is who you are. And then you can be authentic in that, and it becomes your cornerstone for everything it is that you do, no matter what it is.
For sure. A lot of great things. So as people are wrapping up this year, Earl, as we are wrapping up this conversation, and again, as I mentioned, I mean, you have launched now the book, Steps to Voiceover Success. You have the magazine coming out, Voiceover Quarterly, for January. You know, what do you want them to realize about not only, of course, what they say they want going into the new year, but also what it's going to take to be able to make that a reality, as you've been able to make these things a reality in your life?
Their actions will speak louder than their words. You can say whatever it is that you want, but your actions and the things that you do, the things that you execute on, is what's going to make the difference.
Yeah, very well said, and I think you are definitely proof of that. Again, everyone, Earl Hall has been our guest, a repeat guest on our program, so I'm very glad to call a friend. He's had an amazing year, not only with his work in voiceover, but also in being able to help other people through the various mediums that he has, including now his book, Steps to Voiceover Success, is available through our friends at Amazon.com, as well as through the upcoming magazine, Voiceover Quarterly. You mentioned you do these great live videos. You put out a lot of content, Earl. How can our audience stay connected with you and kind of keep up with what's coming up for you?
Sure. The number one way is through my YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Earl Hall Studio, all one word, lowercase, all that great stuff. Also on Instagram, I'm Earl Hall Studio. On, Twitter, I'm Earl Hall VO. And you can connect with me on all these different platforms. And the great thing that I love is that I'm still at a point where I can touch you back. So if you leave a comment or a question, I can always answer you back. And, of course, steps to voiceoversuccess.com. Steps to voiceoversuccess.com. That's the hub of everything. Go right there, and you'll find it all.
All right, so make sure to definitely stay connected with Earl. Earl, congratulations to you again, not only on an amazing year, but also on being an amazing example as to how people can be able to do what they say they want to do, as you mentioned, if they're willing to put in the work and let their actions speak for them. Looking forward to what's happening for you for 2018, man.
Thank you, Cyrus, and just congratulations to you on all your success as well. Thanks for having me.
Hey, glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late, you missed part of the conversation with Earl, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right after we go off the air. The link is already available through our social media site, so head over to facebook.com/Cyrus Webb or go to twitter.com/Cyrus Webb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You all make it a great one.